I'm nervous.
One more poet, and then a little surprise. Please welcome to the stage, Nichole Courier!
Thank you. Oh, everyone did. Perfect. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Amazing. Thank you. I'm going to test your memory a little bit because I am also performing some new shit.
New shit!
It does not have a title because I literally finished it yesterday. So, we're going to jump right in. I lost a friend once because we spoke different languages. Not out loud, not something you could hear if you passed by us giggling together in grade school, laughing at shared jokes and stories without realizing that we couldn't even understand each other. Like when I told her, I love you like a sister, she heard, I love you. Hard stop. When she said, we should run away together, I thought of adventures and mystery books, but she was writing a romance. We were never on the same page as one another. I spent almost every day growing up with a girl just to realize years later that I never understood a word she spoke to me. We were both raised in slightly religious families, in the way where you don't go to church every Sunday exactly, but you still get to internalize all that super fun trauma and ideologies you have to unlearn once you get to college. It wasn't until I left my small hometown that I started to think more deeply about my beliefs. Not just about the world, but about myself. Was I the way I was because I wanted to be, or because it was expected of me? Was it just easier than having to learn a new language? I didn't leave very far at first. From small town New Hampshire to a different small town in New Hampshire, but the independence gave me time to actually listen. I became close with a girl I'd known for years, but realized once again that I never understood her when she spoke to me. She was one of those girls that looked like punk rock in a thrifted sweater, the skin and bones with fire eyes that danced with light when she laughed. She was a lot more outspoken about sex. And it made me nervous in a way that I didn't want her to realize because I wanted the girl that I thought was really cool to think that I was cool too. If she'd been a boy, I would have plainly seen the crush I had on her. I would have gossiped about her to my friends and maybe tried to kiss her, but instead I settled on the notion that I just thought she was really cool. And that was enough at the time. When I introduced her to my parents, she told my dad she liked girls. I can't remember why it came up now or why it seemed like a good idea for her to do at the time. I just remember the slightly horrified look on his face, as if gay people had just been fables up until that point. He reacted politely, the conversation ended, but occasionally he would ask about her, my lesbian friend, and explaining that she was actually bisexual was too much information for him to process. When she came by again years later with her boyfriend, I could see the buffering sign on his forehead, as if I hadn't told him for years that you didn't have to pick a side. After that, he stopped asking about her. I finally left New Hampshire when I moved to Los Angeles. I followed a boy that had my heart locked between his fingers, and I thought about my thrifted punk rock friend a lot. Not in a longing way, not even in a missed opportunity way, though I did sometimes wonder, but in a way that made me figure if someone like her could exist in New Hampshire, then who knows the types of languages people would speak in LA. And I met so many, and I heard so much, I started speaking my own language. I made more friends, I got high a lot. We would have those conversations you can't have unless you're 22 and stoned in a parking lot past midnight. We got to know an acoustic guitar with half her head shaved, and she would ask me questions, and she would make me think, and she would tell me it's okay to decide you don't want to be who you were as a teenager forever. It sounded really simple, really obvious. I felt stupid for not realizing it sooner. I left LA with the same man I went there with, and despite my self-discovery and revelations of things I never had the resources to explore, I always knew I loved him. It's strange, discovering that you like girls at the same time your boyfriend does. And despite clinging to this new aspect of myself, it never diminished my love for him. I never felt the need to leave him over it, just to acknowledge this piece of me. A few months after we moved to New York together, I made a post on Instagram. It was Pride Month. It was silly. Peace sign up, full teeth smile, captioned, putting the V in LGBTQ. I would have cringed over it for any other fact except for the posting clarity that it was my first time coming out publicly. And I started receiving congratulation messages. Someone asked me why I'd never told them, and it made me feel strange because despite finding this part of myself and nurturing these realizations and coming to terms with my inner identity, I didn't actually feel all that different. I'd always looked at pretty girls and blushed. I'd always thought about kissing my best friends. I just didn't because I didn't do that. Oh my God, stop. So why was I being congratulated for an Instagram post that I put 0.5 seconds of thought into before posting? Why were my friends excited for me? A family friend told my dad about the post. I was nervous when he confronted me, and he seemed nervous too. I knew deep down that he wasn't a prejudiced person, he just didn't understand a lot of things. A man that raised his only daughter hunting and fishing in the backwoods, now faced with a left-leaning liberal city dweller. We went to a bar, and all he said was, "So what's up with that?" And I thought back to my upbringing with him, the man that spent more than half my life as a bachelor flipping through women like you'd flip through a phone book. All I said back was, "Well, I am your kid after all," hoping he'd laugh. And he did laugh, and we never talked about it again. Part of me was relieved. You know, there are a lot of other topics and issues I'd like to educate my parents on before deep diving into my own sexuality with them. But another part of me felt disappointed. I wondered if I didn't have a boyfriend, a man that my family rightfully assumed I would marry one day, would this have been a bigger deal? Would this have meant more? Does being with the man of my dreams mean that my coming out was less valid? That my self-realization was less important, or that finding myself had less meaning? And I'm blessed to not have parents that would turn their back on me, to have friends that would show me support even when I wasn't looking for it, to have a partner who allows me to find my true self without doubting my love for him. I just wish I wouldn't doubt myself so much, constantly wondering what my labels are, or if I even want labels to begin with, if I truly understand myself, or if I'm still trying to speak a language that I don't understand. Thank you.
Nichole McFarland. Yeah. Pumps if you want. You just want people to see the show. Now, this guy's been playing intermittently all night, and so it's time for us to give the great Ian McFarland his moment to kick it and close it with a song. Yeah!
Thanks Galinsky. Before I do my song, I'd like to just say a couple things. Of course, thanks to every poet that has graced the stage and spoken their truths and given us all their beautiful words. Especially my lovely wife, Nichole. I am the man she followed to Los Angeles. And then a couple just kind of quick announcement things. One, the songwriter spoken word thing that's happening this Tuesday, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So if you want to come support, the thought of speaking my lyrics into a mic without a guitar frightens me. So come support. The bar's not that big. It's cool. Another thing is, I just started doing this thing called Sunday Scary Sing-Alongs. March 30th is the next one. It's like live band karaoke. It's at Baker Falls. It's right down the street. Galinsky hooked it up because he's the fucking man. That's right. And then the last thing is I've got a record coming out on the 18th, and the production is really good. A lot of arrangements, bits and bobbles. And I'm gonna play the title track from it called You Are So Loved. And forgive me, it's just me and a guitar. There's no glockenspiel, there's no background female vocalist, there's no drums, etc. So it's a little bare bones, but this is You Are So Loved. Woo! Thanks. Some positivity, like you can be anything you want to be, oh yeah. If you would only see what the world needs now is some sweet new tunes, pick you up out of your bad mood now, turn the frown around. Life might be tough, but you learn how to make it great. That's where we're gonna start. What we need now is inspiring thoughts. All I need now is a downside.